All right, in this lecture, we're going to be talking about classes, and this is sort of stepping things up a bit here. I know you have worked with classes before, but this is probably more advanced than anything we've worked with before. But with your background, you're going to do absolutely fine. So making classes in Kotlin, very straightforward. All we do is just say class, give the name of a class, which is uppercased. So in this case, if I want to make a dog class, I just say class dog. And just like that, I now have a class, which then means if I want to create a object from this class, I could say var my dog is equal to a new dog object with parentheses, and that's how simple it is to make an object from a class. Now to add properties to a class, you can do it sort of manually here by saying something like var name and setting this initially equal to some sort of string, and var age, setting that maybe initially equal to 0. Right, so then now I could say something like my dog dot name and set this equal to something that kind of has this built-in getters and setters stuff, so that you can just directly manipulate the properties there. But this doesn't really have an initializer that we can provide a name and an age for. So if you would like to do that, Kotlin has this awesome syntax where when you make a class, like a dog class, you just put parentheses after it, and then you say it's going to have a property called name, and it's going to be of type string, comma, and it's going to have a variable property of age, and it's going to be of type int. Got to do my capital int there. And just by doing this, now when I want to make a new dog object, I've got to provide a name in there, maybe something like Fido, and then the age of like 5. But what it's done is it's created these properties for me, and it's created this initializer. So it's kind of a 2-in-1 package here, which is really, really sweet. Now, if we wanted to go back to our previous example here, where we had the properties showing up, let me undo till we get there. Okay. What I can also do is, if I don't want to set this equal to like an empty string or a 0, and I want to make my own custom initializer, well, what I can do is say, rather than this is equal to an empty string, I'm just going to say name is going to be of type string and age is going to be of type int. So I have a couple, so the big error that I'm getting here is it's saying, hey, these got to be initialized at some point, like these have to be equal to something when you create a new dog object. So one option is to do the init function, so this will get called whenever a new class is created. So I could do something where I say inside of here, name is equal to the double quotes, or I could say age is equal to 85, something like that if I wanted to, or I guess 0 would be sort of the default init value. But if you were going to do this, you might as well just set it equal to that up at the top there. But if there's some more sort of complex thing that you want to do, you can always do that inside of the init function. Another thing that you can do is you can make constructors, and you can have multiple constructors, and this is where you can actually pass in some information. So for example, if I want to have a constructor where I'm taking a name, which is going to be like a string, I could take an age as well. Make sure I've got capital int there. Do my curly brackets. Then I could say something like this dot name is equal to name, and this dot age is equal to age. So you can see in this constructor, it's handling filling in these properties. Now the this, that refers to the class object whenever I use the term this. So when I say this dot name, I'm saying take this property and set it equal to the name parameter that was just passed in here. And because like name and name are the same and age are the same, that's why I have to specify this dot when I'm doing the constructor stuff here. But the cool thing is you can have multiple constructors. So I could do a constructor where it doesn't take in anything, for example, and I just say, all right, in this case, name will be equal to this and age will be equal to 0. So the awesome thing is now this line of code where I make a dog object with no parameters is totally fine. But I could also do one where I pass in something like Fido and the age of 8 or something like that, and I can still make a new object there. So that's kind of some of the basic information on classes. The other thing too, you can have functions inside of your class. So if I'm going to make a function that gives me some info about this dog, I might call it something like dog info, I don't know, and this is going to print out some information about the dog. So I'm going to say All right, go ahead and say something like Fido is 5 years old. And then again, what we've got to do here is say, all right, rather than Fido, we're going to do our $ name. And then rather than 5, we're going to do our $ age. Okay. So those are the basics when it comes to classes, kind of some cool things that you can do. Like I said initially, where you could just kind of do the parentheses here and make your properties. I think that's sort of the slickest way to do it in my own programming. I found that's what I end up doing most often. So my challenge for you is very, very straightforward. I want you to add a new property called fur color to the dog class and update dog info, the function. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Hit pause on the video now. Okay, so hopefully that went well for you. All it would take to do something like this is just say var dog fur. It's going to be, I could just here set it equal to an empty string, or if I wanted to follow convention, I could, just say this is a string and set it up down there. I think I'll just do this to be fun. I think I could even, if I wanted to, specify this one up at the class top. We'll see if this actually works. I have my doubts. Let's see if I say that that's a string. Yeah, it's looking like that's not gonna fly all too well with this. So I always love to try new things on the fly as I'm recording, just for fun, scientific purposes. But anyways, I'm going to update now this dog fur property inside of the dog info, where it says, okay, Fido is 6 years old and has dog fur. So if I, had set dog fur equal to like brown or something like that. Or dog fur is not the right name. It should be fur color. Let's go ahead and change that fur color. Now this will make a little more sense. Okay, and has brown fur, white fur, orange fur, whatever it is that's going on here. Okay, so congratulations, you've made it through the basics of Kotlin. This is as far as I took the Kotlin for beginners, but at a much, much slower pace. So congrats on getting this far, but I'm going to teach you one more thing, and that's about nullables in Kotlin. And then I'm also going to have that special lecture about Kotlin in Java. So let's go ahead and talk about nullables in the next one. This is kind of a special bonus for you guys. And then after that, we'll talk about Kotlin in Java.